Oh boy, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. This one's gonna be a bit of a doozy. It's got a lot of lore comparative to the first game. So just like the first game, you're kind of just thrown into the story here, where apparently Princess Zelda has been put to sleep. I don't really understand why, I don't really understand how, but I guess we gotta go save her from her nightmares, I guess. I don't know. So this is where the first game and the second game really differ, because, well, let's just look at the overworld map. It still keeps that top-down perspective that you know and love from the original Zelda, but it's a much more expansive and open world, much more akin to, like, Final Fantasy. And while you're in villages and dungeons and towns, you have this side view, which is more akin to your typical platformer. And in fact, in this game, Link can jump for the first time and last time for quite a while. And one of the most impressive things about this game is, and I'm sure you noticed it up there at the top, this game has an RPG element to it. Much more akin to what you're used to whenever you're playing like an RPG, being upgradable life, attack, and defenses. Link be out here stepping up his game and making himself more powerful. Look at him there. Now, unfortunately, though, this didn't get a lot of popularity whenever it first came out. Like, it is known as one of the most hated Zelda games for quite a while. And I never really understood that hate. Like, I love the fact that it is more of an RPG. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what the Zelda games are classified as. So it being more akin to something like Final Fantasy just kind of makes sense to me, and it still gives you that wonder and amazement that, you know, the Zelda games bring, or at this point, the two Zelda games bring. But let's talk about the lore. The lore of the game is, unfortunately, very convoluted. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Zelda is put to sleep by an unknown entity. We do find out throughout the game that it is a cult that still worships Ganon as a god. You can't seem to get rid of this guy, even after death. And keep that in mind, because that's going to become very important in a later Legend of Zelda game. And this game takes place about 5 to 10 years after the first game, where you and Link have to travel the entirety of Hyrule in that massive open world that I mentioned, so that you can go to temples, which they now are called instead of dungeons, so that you can gather gems to wake Zelda up. And along the way, you also discover the Triforce of Wisdom, which is also the first canon appearance of the Triforce of Wisdom in the series. It is also the first canon appearance of a fan-favorite character, Dark Link, who is actually the final boss of the game. At this point in the timeline, Dark Link was created from the malice found in Link's heart, as a perfect clone to try and defeat Link and resurrect Ganon. And in my honest opinion, I really like that. The fact that Ganon is no longer the villain. He's dead. He's gone. So, at the end of the day, who else to be the villain except yourself? And with that, that's the end of this synopsis of the lore of Zelda 2, Adventures of Link. It's definitely an interesting title in the entirety of the Legend of Zelda series, and surprisingly is actually one of my favorites. I still go back and I still play it, just like the original Zelda game, and I enjoyed every second of the way.